will a medical doctor work for 9 months, 16 months, 19 months without getting paid?
But you see how much kidnappers are eating from victims.
My bill is government should, I think all the stakeholders in that sector, they need to be spoken to, we sit together and appeal to them.
The 3% for the oil producing community is too low.
So the support that is needed, and once you get the support, your airlines will blossom.
This is Nigeria. You need to give people sense of belonging.
Good morning and welcome to Inside Nigeria, reaching you from Leadership Podcast Studio here in Federal Capital Territory of Abuja. And I have on the set with me this morning, Senator Iregbu. He is here to highlight and review some of newspaper headlines we have today. And of course, we'll be starting with our staple leadership newspaper, Nigeria's leading and most influential newspaper. But before we do that, we want to go on break. Stay tuned. Yes, welcome back. Senator Iregbu, you're welcome once again to Inside Nigeria, reaching you from Leadership Podcast Studio. We're going to our staple leadership newspaper. Leadership newspaper has on its cover today, VAT battle shifts to NANS as lawmakers resume today. VAT, value-added tax battle shifts to National Assembly as lawmakers resume today. And we have bullets, Mahi opposes collection by states. Some governors behaving like foreigners, SACF scribe. Fear grips FIROS task consultants.
Yes, the value-added tax, the battle is on, and the soul of Nigerian federalism is at stake. A lot of people have been calling for restructuring, for the states to control their resources, which should be an ideal. If we say we want to practice with a federal state or a federation, it means that the states should normally, ideally, the states should control their resources. But the fear, I understand the fear of many people because some state governors, because we have a confusing system for a long time now, whereby we claim we are a federal, create some component states, whereby in practice it's a unitary system, just like feeding bottle, whereby everything is coalesced at the center and they begin to dash out, every month the governors will come with a cap in hand and they will just distribute like a communist state. So, which is not supposed to be ideal. But in reality, some states cannot survive as it is. But it calls for a challenge because it's not sustainable the way we are running the federation. It makes some states lazy, makes a lot of governors lazy. That's why some governors don't stay in their state. They are elected, immediately they're elected, they spend most of their in Abuja and then visit their state. Because at the end of the month, they will pay them when they visit just to go and distribute. The same way the federation will distribute. They go back and share, distribute. After they finish distributing, they come back to Abuja again. So now it will, at the beginning, some will suffer. It will favor a lot. But in a long term, it will be good for some states that can't survive. They should merge with other states. So ideal federal system is state collect their resources, then remit some certain percentage to the federation. Or they will now use to run things that are in exclusive list, like defense, like foreign affairs, and other things that are concurrent. So most of the responsibility should be in this for the state, but we have been used to the default or faulty federal system we are practicing, which is actually a unitary system, and we have been so comfortable by it. And I don't blame, because any system you prop up at all, no matter how default that system, they are beneficiaries of that system. Even in war, as bad as it is, there are those who are benefiting from it, even as people, and they will fight to even sustain it. That's human nature. So as it is now, those who this system have favored, who are benefiting from it, we want to hold it. It doesn't mean that even the state that are fighting, the governors of the state that are fighting, that they are selfless like that, or their statement because it favor their state. But in the long run, that's what should be done. So now, what this call for now is for us to, people have been crying of this restructuring, and some people say they don't understand what it means. They are beginning to understand what this restructuring means. Restructuring simple, let states begin to control their resources, control more as the ideal how a federation should be. So now the National Assembly, I know there's still a controversy and it's still a matter of subject to judicial decision, interpretation, ruling, because the appeal court have ruled for stay of execution, meaning that the status quo have to remain for now.
Although some lawyers, too, have given different interpretation to that status
ruling. Okay.
Yes, to the appeal court ruling.
Okay. Meaning that meaning the status quo means that the state have already favors them.
Yes.
Those that have not enacted the law yet
exactly
will continue to remit to the so it's win and lose, or win-win for some and lose-win for others. But the debate for restructuring have moved now to another phase. So you cannot stop something that its time has come.
But Senator, why do you think many people, including Nigerians, some are kicking against it? Is it that Nigeria just want to remain the way it is?
That's what I'm saying.
Why
now.
do you think
some are kicking against it because
apathy towards it?
Apathy towards it because, one, there's a politics part of it. Sometimes people even play without even understanding if this thing works for them or not. Some too, out of fear, genuinely, because they feel their state can't survive. There will be repercussions, definitely. So, but that's why there need to be discussion. This dismissiveness that federal government or institutions always dismiss, or the incumbents. It's not just this administration, because even those who are in opposition, if they get to the center tomorrow and see that they are benefiting now, they begin to fight to benefit. That's why I'm saying that it's a human nature to fight for what benefits them. It's even in international affairs. They say it's for your own interest, national interest. They are self-centered. So why people are fighting? One, ignorance. Secondly, politics. Thirdly, there's also genuine concern that some states will go bankrupt, and you know what that means. So some go. Then thirdly, fourthly, many are lazy. They don't want to put their thinking caps. Leadership in Nigeria is like come and chop. People don't know that leadership entails responsibility, entails you to think out of the box. So people are so, because of the way our leadership has provided everything for our leaders. So most people who are lazy mentally just bulldoze their way and go there and to be collecting and be sharing. All they do is share. It's just like most thing now what you see federal governments do, borrow. You see Minister of Finance are asking, apart from every time the minister announces they are borrowing from there, what are the fiscal policies that are in place to ensure that we stop this borrowing and generate things internally? So they don't stress themselves. You see people when they are in leadership with responsibility, over time they begin to grow gray hair. If you check Barack Obama when he entered and when he entered there with his hair black, young. When he's living there, his hair turned gray,
Mhm.
pale. So, but here you see our leader, they will come into leadership pale. They will go with their cheeks so fat and so no stress. They are so shielded from reality, and that's why sometimes when the public and masses are talking and they don't really understand what people are saying. So, there are repercussions, there are genuine
Yes.
concern, and that's why they should not allow it to go the way it's going. But there's something that is called that when you make peace,
Um,
when you make peaceful change
mm,
impossible, violent revolution becomes inevitable. When you refuse to, when people have been crying, restructure, and you refuse to allow people to sit on the table so that there can be negotiated agreement on how the country can restructure. What you are seeing now is restructuring through the back door, which is not the way it should be, which may have a greater repercussion because some states may not be really prepared, and that's why you are seeing the reaction. Are not prepared for the consequence, and the consequence can be too much. If I begin to analyze the consequences, you may begin to say, what is the benefit then? But it's something that must be done in the long run. We can't continue the way it's just like people have been talking about subsidy removal and all these things. It's something that will be done one day. It has implication, but it's something that one day it will be done.
Thank you so much. And the last bullet says fear grips FIROS tax consultants. Of course, it's to be expected.
That's what I'm
Given
saying.
the
The
fact that,
beneficiaries now,
But
they just like I told
but don't
you.
you think that for states who said they would rather FIROS continue to collect tax on their behalf,
Lazy.
they can also employ them to do that for them in their states?
Because what are they
Or they
collecting
can
when they
still
don't have
engage
when they
in
don't have resources, when they don't have nothing to generate, when their threshold for IGR is so low and they are not thinking out of the box too. So they are used to that, the feeding bottom mentality I'm talking about. They are so used to it. They are so used to collecting from the rich state and they will divide and share to them and they relax. So who are they going to employ when they cannot even generate and create revenue? So they are genuinely concerned. So because there's a statistic that show that only maybe 6 states in this country that can comfortably that are viable. 30 states cannot, but it doesn't mean that in the long run they cannot. So there's no state that cannot survive. Gambia population is not up to that of Benue State or even Imo State, and that is a country. The same thing, there are many countries that are not up to one local government in Nigeria, and they are surviving, doing well. So it's the issue of challenging yourself. We cannot be so worse off than how we were before during the civil war. So I still survive this and come out. So and there have been countries that come from the bottom. We are talking about China today. There are times they cannot even eat one square meal a day. Their citizens, but they overcame it. That's how life is. Human life is adaptability.
Okay. Like a pundit pointed out that at the end of the day, because this bad, if it goes the way of governors, of some governors like Lagos and Rivers State for a start, and that it will enable contenders, it will whittle them down. You know that people that are vying for Guba positions in various states will have to put on their ticking caps, but they know that they have to think of way to generate revenue for the state, that even if they have to embezzle some of the money like we are saying, they will know that they have to work for it. Do you think so? Do you go along this line?
That if this VAT go to the states, it will
Yes.
empower the
No, in other words, it will whittle down. People, so many people are jostling to be governors in various states now
Okay,
because they virtually do nothing. But that's
okay.
now if they are made to
Made
now
to
think
think
outside the box to
but
generate
that's
revenue.
it. That's what I'm
Before you
saying.
can embezzle money, you know how that you have to
Generate. Yes, that's what I'm
That is
saying.
what pundits are saying. So do you like
yes,
that line?
it will weed out lazy. It's aligned with what I'm saying.
Mm.
What we have now, a lazy set of leadership or leaders who think what they come there to do is to eat and distribute resources. They don't know that the leadership entails on how to creatively think on how to generate that resources and they manage it effectively. So if now you have to manage how to generate You will not be gallivanting every time you come in Abuja here and come and sleep and rest. Maybe at the end of the month you go to your state, stay through. A governor here who is one of the acting chairman of one a big political party say he only stay in his state in a month, three days from his mouth. He said it. 3 days. And this is a state that is facing insurgency. A state that needs so many indices are on the wrong side. So those 3 days is what you just come pay salary and distribute all those things. Then you fly back to Abuja. There was even in the as of last 15 years or so, was it Governor of Jigawa State or there was a report. He stayed virtually in Abuja. So the same thing, the former governor of Zamfara State, the same thing was accused that most time while this banditry that has turned to behemoth was reigning, this man was busy, dilly-dallying in Abuja. He just visit the state. So when you put that and they don't have any feeding bottle to that we feed them from Abuja, or where they will carry their plate and come and they will distribute to them, they will go back and do it. They cannot do the work. Let them find another business to do. So it will now, by itself, weed out those who are not supposed to be in the corridors of power or governance. Yes.
All right, thank you so much, Regu. For viewers, Regu is also a journalist and a public affairs analyst. So from Leadership newspaper, we are moving on to a sister publication, the National Economy. And on National Economy today, it says Nigeria's oil production to remain stagnant into fourth quarter 2021. Nigeria's oil production to remain stagnant into fourth quarter of 2021 as COVID-19 Delta variant clouds global demand prospects.
Okay, so it's still aligned
So this is going to affect negatively our economic prospects this year again.
So in addition to the issue of that, we are still playing. It's like our leaders, even the populace, is the leader that's supposed to educate the populace. The country is in a keg of gunpowder, economically, socio-politically speaking. A lot of things, because apart from the oil remaining stagnant, our buyers, the potential buyers are shrinking. Because the US that used to be our biggest buyers before are no longer, because they have their own oil. A lot of countries are discovering oil in their own economic zone. So we have more competitors. So the countries that used to buy before are no longer buying. Those who are buying have more more clients. We are no longer that bright like that. That's the second one. Then thirdly, people are going. The future is the green economy. So a lot of countries are moving away from carbon-based, production to green emission. So that's why you see countries are already beginning to set target to exit from carbon, that's emission, to green, to electric cars, in order to all these environmental target that they set up. So what does that mean? It means that the uses of oil will begin to reduce, though it's still a very important thing, but it will reduce because of these factors I've mentioned. Countries that used to buy from, a lot of them are no longer, because they have oil. More countries are discovering oil and gas. So we have those who are buying, our customers have options other than us too. Then countries they are moving to green economy, electric cars and so forth. So if we should begin to think out of the box, like I said, from state to the national, now is the time to even start it. Now is the time, because this oil thing is we are using it to deceive ourselves, because it's an easy money, and it makes a lot of leaders who should not be there lazy leaders, and they are there just because they can manipulate themselves to be there and begin to share money and enrich themselves.
Thank you so much. Yes, from National economy, we're moving to the Guardian newspaper. The Guardian newspaper. On today's Guardian newspaper, it says Nigerians lose 300 billion naira to Ponzi schemes, speculative trade. Nigerians lose 300 billion naira to Ponzi schemes, speculative trade. Two commit suicide as operators tax federal government on national development. Any unregistered investment scheme is illegal, says SEC, a Securities Exchange Commission. Founders on the run as EFCC arrests 10 operators. Experts list measures to safeguard Nigerians against falling victim. Very good. Nigerians lose 300 billion to Ponzi schemes and speculative trade.
Very valid analysis.
Yeah.
So, these are all linked. You may think, how does the oil, the VAT thing, the oil, the oil gloom, and all these things connect? It shows you that the economy is, is not making impact. That there's a gloom overall, and how do you feel the impact is the desperation of the citizens to survive.
Yes.
So this desperation to survive, to make it, they begin to look for easy way out. So from there they easily fall victim to all these
Yes.
Ponzi schemes and speculative. Because if you check like this,
MMM still comes to my mind.
even we still have like all this cryptocurrency thing. There are a lot of fake people around it, fleecing people. Most people are falling victim to it. So if you check, Nigeria is one of the country with the greatest interest in this what is it called? This cryptocurrency and the Ponzi schemes.
So do you think the nation is really coming hard on this Ponzi scheme? Because Nigerians are still really good, they are still going for it.
There's nothing, no matter what EFCC do, it's just like in a situation when you go to like slum, or there tend to be higher rate of crime. Why? It's not because the people there is in their gene to commit crime. The reality of the environment they live in pushes them. That's what happens. If you check developed country, the more a country develops, the less crime. Vice versa.
Yeah.
So that's what we are seeing here. If economy begin to, and our youth are genuinely engaged in productive activities, the less time they dedicate to try to find a way to survive. So you find out most of our youth are looking for how to survive. The number one law of nature is survival. So, and people do a lot of things to just survive. So, and the more you arrest, the people are still going back there until economy begin to improve naturally. It doesn't stop them from doing their work, yes, and it doesn't excuse crime, not at all. But I'm saying that as long as there are prevalent conditions that pushes our youth or our people to look for by all means necessary to survive, these are one of the means, and definitely they fall victim. So, and when people are desperate, they do a lot of things without thinking logical. So they become vulnerable. That's what is happening.
Thank you so much, Iregu, from the Guardian newspaper. We move over to the Punch newspaper. The Punch headline: Military onslaught in Zamfara. Dislodged bandits flee southwards. And government strike in Kogi, Kaduna, Ekiti. Military onslaught in Zamfara state. Dislodged bandits flee southwards. Government strike in Kogi, Kaduna, and Ekiti. And on the rider, we got intelligence reports that bandits were coming to Ondo Forest, Amotekun Corps commander. Terrorists invade Kogi prison, free 240 prisoners, kill 2 soldiers. Government abduct 4 Ekiti travelers. It's really pathetic.
Yes, it's pathetic, and showing that yes, our military commendable, they are doing great, but have always said it. Yes, There's so much our military can do. We are putting so much pressure on our military.
Mhm.
We are putting so much work on them. And by its creation, military is not even meant for internal security operation,
Yes.
though they do support from time to time. But now we are facing a very unique situation. And it is given that these bandits, as they are being killed or dislodged from Zamfara, they will begin to look for safe havens. So what do we do? So we should also begin to look at this our forest areas. There are a lot of ungoverned spaces in Nigeria, a lot. So how long are we going to fight? Okay, if they go to they move to other this thing, because people speculated that this will happen and it's happening. So
Already.
now, when you finish the duration of that operation, now you are going to, will you go to Ondo or other forests? If you go there, they will not go back to Zamfara again. So it's a circle. Yes, how long with this?
Vicious
So
one.
it's a vicious circle. So that's why, in addition to military onslaught, if you check the 21st century warfare, military operation doesn't end it alone. You need to back it up with other factors. So Nigeria as a nation, as a state, has need to look itself as a whole and think deeply. What is it that is propping up all this mushrooming insurgency, conflict here and there, all over the country? And our elite are living their life thinking, okay, we have the bombs, we have the bullet, and can always send the military to go and crush them from southeast to northwest to northeast to north central to southwest to south. There are so many, one form of conflict, crisis or the other, or pockets, or some are still sleeping, hibernating, waiting for a trigger to just pop up. It's not how a country should be. So our leaders have a lot of work to do to think deeply beyond this kinetic application. Yes, commendable, it should be sustained, but other factors need to come into play for us to have a sustainable, because what you should be looking at, sustainable peace, a stable country, because without peace and stability, our development will be stunted.
Yes, thank you. Many people are wondering that how did this snowball into this position that we are in now? How come there was inertia at the initial stage to tackle this insurgency when it was just going on?
Like I said, it's a result of negligence, and we play a lot of politics with our security. We begin to lose security from the area is propping up. Is based on the area you begin to depend on whoever that is in power or in charge of the law enforcement or other factors, paraphernalia, begin to know how they will, um, apply pressure. Just like when you see the president, okay, when such a issue begin to rear its ugly in Southeast, so I'm going to speak to them in the language. Before you know it, a lot of things were dispatched, which some people felt is disproportionate, but he got some immediate result then, but still the problem is still there. That's why I'm saying bomb and this cannot solve all the problem like that. Now, when the whole issue was rearing its ugly head in the northwest, there was a lot of debate, a lot of dilly-dallying, a lot of, even up till now, government had not been able to define what is actually going on. Is it terrorism? Is it criminality? Is it banditry? What is actually going on in the northwest? Up till now, we don't know about that. So they have to be political will. The political will to really tackle this is not there. So it's been a long time government have been dilly-dallying to name the sponsors and funders of terrorism. Nothing has been heard from about that. So the political will from our elites who need to form a consensus and come together for the love of this country and discuss on the way forward.
Well, thank you so much, Senator Regu, for being our guest on today's Inside Nigeria. And for the benefit of our viewers, Senator Regu is a journalist and also a public affairs analyst. And until we come again your come your way again tomorrow, same time on this network. I remain Winifred Bebo. Stay blessed.